Hey guys, it's me again. Realized I hadn't really posted a wild update. Kind of look like a mess today, as I like to do these videos. I kind of did one for one of my classes last week, so I thought I would kind of like go into a little bit about like bariatric surgeries. So I had gastric bypass surgery in January 2016. I've lost about 160 pounds. This is me now. Don't mind my big butt. My butt's always going to be big, unfortunately. It's genetics. But I kind of like just wanted to... Gotta stop moving. Anyway, so there's 4 types of primary weight loss surgery that are considered for people who might be considered morbidly obese or have comorbidities with obesity that require them to consider weight loss surgery. So there's a lot of different reasons somebody would get it. The first one, the most restrictive, is gastric bypass. They basically take your stomach, cut it, keep the bottom portion because it's got enzymes and gastric juices that kind of help with the digestion of food in your lower intestine. So that kind of stays attached, but is detached from your stomach that's now made the size of an egg. And then it's attached to your esophagus, and then they create an opening at the top of your esophagus. It's about 10 millimeters wide, so it's very small compared to a normal esophagus opening anyway. And basically, that just causes restrictions. So when you eat, you can only eat a couple ounces, maybe up to 4 ounces of food at a time. You definitely feel full faster. And then, you know, the digestion process is there. Gastric bypass can be reversed. I had it done. I don't plan on getting it reversed. The second most common is a sleeve, where they take the stomach, like imagine it like a pouch kind of. They cut it in half. They actually remove the bottom portion, and then they attach it to the small intestine, reattach it to the top of the esophagus. And same thing, restrict the top of the esophagus. And so with that, you can actually eat a little bit more food than with a bypass. But both of them, they take out about 2 feet of the small intestines, and you're just kind of re-kajiggered from there. Kajigger, that's a good word. Anyway, the third is basically like they call it a lap band. It's actually an internal mechanism that you control from a switch that they put in your body, well, like under your skin. And it goes over your stomach, and at the top of the esophagus, it'll open and close depending on how much restriction you personally want. There's a lot of complications with that because, you know, you're introducing a foreign object into your body. It could cause a herniated stomach or all kinds of other issues with that. But all of these have different issues, long-term or short-term, depending on the circumstances. The fourth one is most common for people who might have a very high BMI or be like over 350, 400 pounds and higher. Basically, they do a gastric bypass, so they take the stomach, make it smaller, and they basically attach that directly kind of to the large intestine and colon. So basically, food just comes here, 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 and it's gone. And the idea behind that is that food will process quickly, get out of your system faster. But with all of these surgeries, you know, there is massive weight loss. That last one, the duodenal switch, which is the last one I was just talking about, for larger patients is kind of wild because, you know, I believe it is reversible, but your food's just going right through you, so you're losing weight super fast. But like all of these, you know, fast weight loss isn't necessarily healthy weight loss. And you're more prone to long-term conditions like anemia, which is like having a low red blood cell count, your iron deficiencies in all vitamins and minerals, because you're no longer able to get those nutrients in the same way because food kind of works itself more quickly through the system, and you're not able to get as much of that through your diet. So I know for me, I have a whole like medicine cabinet here to show you of things I take. So I take Optisource 4 times a day. It's a multivitamin that has like literally everything I need. It's a chewable wafer. Doesn't taste awesome. It's orange flavored. So I imagine like Tang, but gross, 4 times a day. everything I take is going to be chewable, liquid, or as small as the top of a pencil eraser, because that's will more easily be digestible and it gets into my system a little bit faster. I can't really do gel tabs very well because they have a tendency to possibly get stuck in my esophagus. And that can be true of a lot of people who have these surgeries. So Optosource 4 times a day. I also take Ultra D3 and have it in 10,000 IU, which is kind of a lot, but we're all, especially living in Arizona, we tend, even though it's a sunny state, we still tend to kind of have a low vitamin D. So I stick to that once a day. I also take 10,000 micrograms of biotin. This is a fast dissolvable. My vitamin D is just a very small tablet that I swallow. This is quick dissolve, 10,000 micrograms biotin once a day. 65 milligrams of iron I usually take once to twice a day. Because I'm anemic, iron deficient anemic, post-surgery, this is just something I have to do in order to maintain my daily nutrient intake. And I also take, let's see, that stuff that's not really relative to my surgery that I take is pregnenolone, because it is a marker for dementia, and that kind of stuff runs in my family. So hopefully this is kind of helping balance that out in my brain a little bit, so that I'm not, you know, not losing my brain too early in life here. And then this other stuff, also because I have hyperthyroidism, I have atenolol, methimazole, and I also take a antidepressant, duloxetine, right now. So my daily medication regimen is like freaking crazy, because you can't take, with the vitamins and nutrients and stuff, you can't take like iron at the same time you take calcium citrate. You can't take iron at the same time you take a lot of stuff, because it will not absorb properly. So these are like just a few of the things that I've gone through every day for the last 3 years. But I don't think I would go back, because I was suffering from a condition called pseudotumor cerebrae, which was years and years of various types of birth control use from the time I was very young, and also being overweight for a period of time and traveling and flying a lot. Basically what was happening is my body being overweight was creating too much spinal fluid, and spinal fluid is kind of what you have in your head, your eyes, the stuff you cry, like all that good stuff. And what would happen is it didn't have anywhere to go. So if I wasn't getting spinal taps like a couple times a month at least, and it didn't have anywhere to go, it was causing excess pressure in my head, because it didn't have, you know, there's no way to escape other than like my eyes. But basically it was like my head was going to explode. My eyes would have popped out of my sockets. And needless to say, emergency landing into Honolulu helped kind of make that decision for me to have bariatric surgery, because I needed to lose weight. Even though I was overweight, I was active, I was eating fine, and I still just wasn't losing fast enough to help this condition that was that would have killed me, actually. So I opted for gastric bypass, had it. I don't want to say I'm healthier now than I ever have been. It's just a different lifestyle. But it is nice to, you know, be able to do all the activities I've always loved, the hiking, the camping, the kayaking, and a lot of the stuff I do on my own. But I really love being outdoors. So it's definitely opened up a whole new, you know, whole new life for me. And I don't think I would want to change that for sure. But, you know, everyone's journey, weight loss, whether it's weight loss surgery or just, you know, making small changes to eat better, to want to be healthier or want to be happier, you know, all of these decisions kind of impact one another. And it's good to realize that you can make small changes, and eventually it will be a permanent lifestyle change for sure. But I think overall, like, even with the medications and some of the conditions I've had brought on from bariatric surgery, mostly just the anemia, it's definitely been a journey, like, of health, you know, from one health condition to the pseudotumor cerebrae and papilledema. I was really lucky to have one of the best surgeons and an eye centers in Philadelphia when I was going through that. They recognized it right away. I was in, I had surgery, and like on at least with my head and stuff. I didn't have bariatric surgery right away until it almost killed me, but that was my own mistake. So anyway, so I dealt with that. Then I was okay for a few years, but I was still traveling a lot. So without the spinal taps and flying, it was really, really miserable a lot. And that led me to Phoenix, had my bariatric surgery there. And after that, I was good for a while. And then about a year and a half post-surgery, I started like feeling just really like dragging, and found out I was actually very anemic. Again, iron deficiency, pretty common among weight loss surgery patients. And then come to fast forward to last November, having blood work done again, I still was kind of dragging, and come to find out of the hyperthyroidism. So that in and of itself has also been a journey. So, you know, it's definitely like one chronic illness after another sometimes, but do my best to not let it like bring me down and like make me feel too bad. The hyperthyroidism is also attacking my eyes, so I'm hoping to see a specialist about that soon. But like overall, like, you know, I think and I feel like I'm healthier and happier in my existence, and you know, doing these weird videos about randomness kind of helps me, and hopefully helps other people. But I think like I just wanted to talk about the bariatric surgeries and like the stuff I again continue to go through, and the medications I take. If there's anyone going through it or wants to go through it or whatever, I'm always happy to help answer questions. But again, you can't take someone else's weight loss surgery story on as your own, because there are risks and complications, and everyone has different reactions. You know, I don't feel like I had any complications post-surgery or after surgery. I was up as soon as I could get off anesthesia. I remember my dad laughing at me actually, because I was trying to get up before the anesthesia wore off, and they wouldn't let me. You know, I was up right away because I wanted to get up and walk and get that excess gas that they put in to operate out of you, because it was all laparoscopic. And yeah, that was an experience too. But there were other people who you know, maybe weren't as mobile and weren't able to get up out of bed after surgery for their own reasons, and maybe had complications post-surgery or did things they weren't supposed to, or, you know, I've known quite a few fatalities post-surgery from alcoholism, not listening to the doctors, doing things too early and disrupting the sutures while they were healing, so it caused internal bleeding and hemorrhaging. And you know, like all major surgeries, there's definitely those complications. So it's not a good idea to take someone else's journey as your own. But as long as you do your testing, talk to your surgeon, reach out to support groups, it's the most important thing for sure. Reach out to people who have been through the process at any stage, and just ask questions, like garner their experience and understanding, because there really isn't a lot of great long-term care or even short-term care post-surgery, because, you know, our insurance gets us through the process, and then we're just kind of left in a lurch if you can't afford to go see a nutritionist or a counselor or things like that. You know, or you live out in the middle of nowhere. It definitely makes it harder to feel like there's any sort of support or resources for you. They are there, but you really have to look for them sometimes. And so I guess that's one of my pushes to get through school and try to stay on top of this stuff, even with all of the outside craziness that life likes to throw my way. I do have a tendency to hyperanalyze and overanalyze, like literally everything. And I bend over backwards for the people I care about in ways that maybe isn't always the most healthy, but I don't, you know, they would do the same for me mostly. And I appreciate that, because, you know, there's always times where you need your friends and family the most, and it's good to reach out for that support and offer it if you're able, you know. Of course, there's times where you don't have the emotional, mental, or general resources personally to be able to do that. But it's also good to communicate that if somebody needs help, just, you know, like find out what they need from you before like saying, I can't help you with that. Because sometimes they could just need an ear, you know. It's hard to not take people's problems on as our own sometimes. And I know I have a problem with that, but I also want everyone to be able to live happily and simply and do the best they can for themselves. And I think everyone has this amazing potential that sometimes they just don't see, or sometimes it just takes a compliment to help them realize how awesome and beautiful they really are. So anyway, now that I'm just rambling, I suppose I should cut it short, as they say, and again, just talking about stuff to talk about it, and going through the processes and motions. I do have a couple assignments due by midnight, but I guess I should get working on those because I also have class this afternoon. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching.